Hello, welcome back to the debate. We're going to talk about Real Madrid because they have a problem that needs solving. Having had success in recent years, huge success in recent years and over previous decades, they find themselves in something of a dip at the moment. They're out of the Champions League to Ajax. They're out of the Copa del Rey. They're behind Barcelona by quite some way in La Liga. So well, first of all, in order to work out how to fix it, what's gone wrong?
Well, I think just looking at successive wins in the Champions League, there comes a point where there is a drop-off, inevitably. And I've talked about this so many times. You cannot sustain intensity and winning like that without there being a moment at which you have to regroup. You're also losing two of the biggest personalities you possibly can. Zinedine Zidane, one of the greatest players ever, and Ronaldo, the greatest Real Madrid player ever. So to lose that, the combination of the goals, plus, I think, wonderful leadership that did well with that group, it's certainly gone through a turbulent season that has seen complacency, seen quite mediocre performances, and, you know, it's not the first time that, you know, that somebody's come out and spoken about this about to happen. It was predicted at the beginning of the season, and it seems to have followed through.
You mentioned Ronaldo, you mentioned Zidane, and that's what people are asking about on Twitter mostly. Real Madrid are falling apart. Their glory days are over. Is it the Ronaldo effect or is it the Zidane effect? Asked Sue Ellen. What do you think?
Ronaldo effect. I really do think that, because I think as a player, he has been there, done it. One of the greatest footballers to ever play the game, and he's a player that leads by example. He sets the example, he sets the tone, and the rest of the players follow. You know, you have that in dressing rooms. I'm not saying that United had that success, but the effect that Ibrahimovic had at Manchester United, I think that was a huge effect. I think he spoke, everybody listened. When he left, he was a huge leader that left, and then other players started coming to the fore, probably not in the best ways in terms of the leadership thing. So when you lose a huge player like Ronaldo was, the effect on the pitch, but the off the pitch is professionalism, huge. And players would look at him and go, well, I better behave like that. I need to act this way because he's been there, he's done it, he's won everything there is to him. One of the greatest players ever, like I've just said. When he goes away, it's easy then for players' standards to drop. And that goes for the same at any football club. It doesn't matter whether it's Champions League winners, doesn't matter if it's non-league level. You will have certain aspects of players in a dressing room that when they leave, other players, I'm not saying take advantage, but other players' standards can then drop because they've got nobody telling them, hey, just keep control of things. And I think that's the biggest problem.
And especially considering they didn't reinvest. You know, they put an investment in youth. You've got, I think, an ageing Real Madrid team. You know, you've got Luka Modric, FIFA World Player of the Year. I think I can say this with regards to my own success, is that it's so hard to keep sustained winning at the same level. And if you lose a player like Ronaldo, the person who has broke record after record, and even last year there were games where I thought they struggled to get through, but Ronaldo would deliver moments of brilliance, particularly in the Champions League. We can't talk about La Liga because they've struggled. I think without that, they've really suffered this year.
And no Ramos against Ajax as well, for his own reasons, because he thought that this was going to be more straightforward and that they were almost guaranteed a place in the quarter-finals. Plus, you've got Gareth Bale, who you would imagine they were expecting to become that next star player. They invested enough in him.
But now we get to see the true genius of Ronaldo and Messi, because you think that you're going to fill those shoes like for like. Bale is a completely different football player to Ronaldo and doesn't have the goal-scoring record that he has, and it's goals that he's been missing.
As well,
no, perhaps he doesn't. You know, he's been an accompanied piece as a part of that team to be the talismanic player, the leader of that side. That's not necessarily who he is, and he's clearly struggled with that.
I think when you look at Real Madrid as well, over the last 15, 20 years, wherever it may be, probably go back even further than that, they've been built on the Galacticos. Now, you know, the world-class players, there's just so many to mention. I don't know how many Galacticos there's left in world football now. It's becoming more of a team ethic. You can say there are probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 possibly.
Are we going for Neymar?
You would probably say Neymar. You would probably say...
Or would you just argue they're spread more evenly around the
No,
world with PSG, with Manchester City. I'm talking about the top players.
But what I'm saying is that if you look at the Galacticos that Real Madrid had over the years, they bought them from the top clubs. There was never a problem with doing that. I don't believe that there are as many Galacticos, which has been what Real Madrid's been built on. I don't believe there's as many of them around in world football now. So if you have this formula, if them players aren't necessarily there anymore, it's very difficult to continue that trend, because Real Madrid have done it over the years, the likes of Ronaldo, Figo, Beckham, Van Nistelrooy at the time as well, Zidane. The list goes on and on and on and on and on. Now I look at it and I think to myself, well, if you want to carry on that trend, then good luck, because I think it's very difficult for you to be able to do that, because I don't necessarily think that there's a high percentage of them players that exist now.
So what next? The man being linked with the job quite strongly, Jose Mourinho.
Oh, it's not what I heard. About half an hour ago, you said Jurgen Klopp was being linked with the job.
I said I did read that. I did read that, but yeah.
Well, I think
not as strongly as the Mourinho links.
Look, there's going to be rumours flying, whether it's Klopp, whether it's Pochettino, whether it's Mourinho. I think that rigmarole will continue all the way through the season. I think Mourinho...
You get that with clubs that have the presidents, don't
it's
they?
inevitable.
Kind of come out and put those stories out.
Yeah, and you know, putting the stories out around multiple managers from the Premier League will surface throughout the season, and I'm sure Pochettino will be linked with that job too. But Mourinho knows the club inside and out, and I think he would be considered the favourite for the job. And I think that's quite, strange to think that they'll consider taking Mourinho back, considering the acrimonious circumstances in which he left. But, he's a winner, he's a proven winner, and I'm sure he will be the favourite.
Any chance that at some stage in the future we could see them throwing money at the situation?
As in terms of...
Just buying players.
Yeah, I think so. They will want to do that. I don't think there's any doubt about it. But like I say, you go back to what they stand for. It's been Galacticos, but if they aren't around, you have to change your formula at some point.
But if you're top players at this moment in time, you're considering Real Madrid for your summer destination, and you don't know who the manager is. You know what comes first here, the players for the new season or the new manager. So I think they've got big decisions to make regarding that.
Still a huge club, but with huge problems at the moment, at least by their standards.